I'm Blue Blood, and this is my sister Pure Blood. Hey, I'm Blue Blood, and she's Pure Blood. Nice to meet you. Hello. My brother went on, greeting every foal to step within arm's reach, including my name in each introduction, much to my displeasure. Hi, pleasure to meet you. Hello there, charmed. I force out, giving a stiff nod to each new pony directed my way and hoping my smile doesn't appear as strained as it is. I'm fighting the urge to run over to my parents and hide while they talk with our teacher. A mare, surprisingly a smidge taller than Dad, reminded me that I'm not just some foal. Including the time I spent in my new life, I'm technically a teenager for crying out loud. I could handle some social interaction. I think dying was less painful than when I started once again greeting a cream-colored unicorn filly with a pink mane. Ignoring the perplexed look in those turquoise eyes before she shrugged and skipped off, I heaved a sigh and attempted to get my heartbeat under control. I guess age doesn't account for much when the bulk of it was in isolation. At least Blue Blood seems to have struck up an actual conversation with the colt, so he's not putting a new pony in front of me every 5 seconds. Using the reprieve to its fullest, I try to distract myself by observing the room I'm be spending the rest of the morning in. There is a surprising lack of rainbows and smiley faces inside, which I guess I'm relieved about, with the few things there are sharing space with a variety of hodgepodge of other images. Apples, happy beetles, a couple kittens, as well as a few crudely painted pictures I imagine must be from other students plastered the walls. There are far fewer desks and chairs than I imagined there would be, but with only a few large tables lining the edges of the room, although there aren't exactly a whole lot of students, so I guess that makes sense. It was a small relief when I realized all the foals I had seen outside weren't going to be crammed into one room, and instead were divided between a couple. A toy box sits in the corner, and there are shelves filled with what appear to be craft supplies, judging by the clear container I can see filled with glitter. I'm going to have to make sure to keep Bluey far from that. I'd rather not find out how difficult it is to get the shiny dust out of fur. In the very middle of the room is a large oval playmat, the center a cooling shade of blue, while the outer edges is decorated with squares of red, green, and yellow, each with a different number printed inside. Well, it's nearly time for us to leave, Dad says as he approaches, having to take several exaggerated steps to avoid crushing careless foals dashing between his legs. Think you two will be okay until it's time for us to come pick you up? While I give a nod, Brother grins. Yep, bye! Mom frowns and grumbles. Could at least pretend you're going to miss us. Before looking at me. How about you, Pure? You still nervous? I bite my lip, contemplating just asking to go home now, but resist as I answer, It'll be okay, Mommy. After a second, I throw my self-consciousness to the wind and leap forward to hug Mom's leg. I'll miss you. Reaching down for a gentle brace, Mom whispers, I'll miss you too, but it'll only be for a few hours. You can make it, right? Uh-huh, I respond, pulling away with a smile significantly less forced. I'm more relaxed as Blue and I give our final goodbyes, waving until our parents leave along with the rest of the others who have come to exchange words with the teacher. The room is soon clear of all adults except for a single violet earth pony mare with a cloud-colored mane. Turning her red eyes toward the foals still running wild through the room, she smiles gently and calls, Okay, children, it's time for introductions. By the time the teacher finally got all the foals to sit in a circle around the center mat, Blue Blood and I had already been seated for 5 minutes, much to my annoyance. Having to continuously grab my brother to keep him from running off started to become tedious, and yet the teacher, having to deal with over a dozen rambunctious foals, never once raised her voice or let the gentle smile fall from her lips. How much patience could this mare have to be able to do this for a living? Perhaps she's some sort of monk before she started teaching to maintain such serenity in a face of such chaos. Okay, settle down, little one. There'll be plenty of time to play in a bit, the teacher said to a little blue filly with a white and dark blue mane. Right now, it's time for all of us to get to know each other, and I think I'll start. Hello, class. I'm Tutorial. Though you may call me Miss Torrell if you prefer, I'll be your teacher. I hope we will have much fun learning together. If by some instinct many of the fillies and colts, including myself, responded the same way, Hello, Miss Torrell, the bulk of us chant, getting the kindly mare to smile slightly wider. Now that you all know me, it's time for each of you to introduce yourselves, starting here. She gestures toward the blue filly at her side who beams. We shall go around the circle and say our name and one thing you wish to share with the class, okay? Go ahead, child. Needing no further prompting, the filly releases a rapid string of words. Hi, I'm Minuet. I like having fun and hate wasting time. Everything has to be done fast. The next pony in line, the filly who gave me the strange look earlier, is caught off guard when Minuet wraps up with her introduction in a mere 3 seconds before snapping her eyes over to her, but recovers quickly before speaking. I'm Twinkleshine, and, I like doing stuff with my friends. The teacher is satisfied with the answer, it seems, and moves her gaze to the next foal, though I tune them out to try to decide what I'm going to say when it's my turn. First part is simple enough. I'm pureblood. But what's something interesting about me? I like to read. No, that would make the other foals think I'm a nerd. And if the few sitcoms I remember seeing or anything to go by, that's just asking to be bullied by some ponies 3 times my size. I guess I could say I know Princess Celestia, but wouldn't that be bragging? I'm pretty sure bragging is bad, so I should avoid saying that, which throws the whole kind of royal thing out the window too. That's probably for the best. I'm pretty sure I'm not technically a princess if I understand the stuff right, and I definitely don't feel like royalty anyway. What's interesting about me? Come on, it shouldn't be that hard. I can say I'm an alien, and that way I wouldn't be lying, and I'll go to a loony bin instead of school. Win-win. Just as I'm kicking myself for such a stupid thought, Blueblood arrives. Hi, I'm Prince Blueblood the 17th, and this is my sister Pureblood. She's a princess, even if she says she's not, the colt declares with a confident smile and a hoof around my shoulder, missing my aghast look due to his smugly closed eyes. After a second, he says, Oh, and I'm training with my grandpa and getting stronger. I didn't realize I'd been staring for an embarrassingly long time before I heard the teacher clear her throat, the abrupt sound cutting through the excited murmurs of the other foals. Pureblood, is it? Would you like to share something about yourself with the class? Jerking, I look around to see all the wide-eyed stares my brother and I were receiving, the former soaking the tension in as I resist hiding away. I have to say something, no matter how inviting the shadowy space between the tables look, but my first attempts come out as nothing more than a squeak. Come on, girl, your mom wants this for you. Don't disappoint her and just say something already. Clearing my throat and collecting what little courage I could, I speak. Hello, I'm pureblood, like my brother said, and I, like books? I wince and mentally brace myself for the first snort, shrinking down in shame as more foals begin to giggle. I also enjoy books. Hopefully we can find some new ones here, Miss Torrell says. The same serene smile on her face, even though I just labeled myself a nerd within the first 10 minutes of class. I may as well have thrown myself in a piranha tank with how these foals are going to eat me alive after this. There was some prompting from the teachers toward the foal next to me to introduce themselves, but I hardly noticed over my own panicking thoughts until they finally spoke. I'm Moon Dancer, and I like... The light beige unicorn shot a glance at me from beneath her purple and red mane, a blush on her cheeks. And I like books too. Staring at the filly, I noticed a small, hopeful smile she held began to fall as I processed what is happening. Is this pony trying to be friends with me? Why? Judging from the teasing laughter of most of the class, I already botched my first impression, right? It's because Bluey told the class we were prince and princess? Is she just smoozing? No. Besides being a foal no older than my brother, I can see the genuine hope dying in those purple eyes as self-consciousness wells in its place, and I know she's feeling how I have been since I got here. Smiling is all it takes for this crestfallen expression to once again be replaced by a meek smile, and seeing that makes mine all the more real. When Ornate and Blueblood returned to pick up the twins, they both did so with trepidation. For the mare, it was a fear that her daughter would come running out in tears, begging to be homeschooled. As for the stallion, he was afraid homeschooling would be required after his son had driven their teacher insane. The latter of these worries was at least temporarily laid to rest, as the teacher could be seen in the preschool's entrance, bidding farewell to her charges as other parents arrived to retrieve them. Ornate and her husband approached the violet mare, both having to look up slightly to catch her eyes as she smiled in a way of greeting. Miss Tutorial, Blue Blood began, returning the mayor's smile with a grin of his own. I hope the twins didn't cause too much trouble for you. My son can be a bit much at times, and he often finds luck in roping his sister into his shenanigans. Oh, not at all, she answered. Young Blue Blood was quite energetic, though nothing I haven't dealt with before. He and some of the other colts got along swimmingly. That's a relief, Ornate commented, wincing as a foal ran past her, screeching at the top of their lungs. I honestly don't know how you could do this job. Just trying to take care of the two foals could be taxing at times, and that's with helpers. I think a whole class worth would have me babbling mad within an hour. Yes, keeping track of so many little ones can be difficult at times, but as long as one has the patience for it, I can hardly imagine a more fulfilling occupation, Tutorial said, chuckling lightly as she looked at her flank and the snail cutie mark. And patience is my special talent, after all. Much to the benefit of us all, praised Blue Blood, perking up at a familiar voice. Daddy! Yelled his son, galloping full tilt into his father's leg. I had the best day ever. Me and Chromecoat raced these really cool toy carriages, and then Double Jump wanted to teach us this really boring game called Chippers or something, and then Table Flip showed us this really cool thing you can do with the black and red pieces instead of called Tiddlywinks, which you... Wow, breathe, son, breathe, the stallion instructed, picking the panting colt up. Don't want you passing out before I can hear what all the stuff you did with your new friends. Peeking around the teacher, Ornate asked, Where's your sister? Oh, she's still inside with her friend, Little Blue Blood answered dismissively before continuing his tale of fun and games with his father. Pure Blood and Moon Dancer insisted they probably shelve all the books they took down before they left, Miss Tutorial informed. I told them I could do it, but your daughter insisted, and they went through half the collection. It might take them a minute to finish. I'm honestly contemplating bringing in books for my own library at the rate that they're going through the classrooms. A part of Ornate's mind wanted to comment that would only earn the teacher a few more days at most before the filly was hungry for more books. But one word her son spoke was taking up much of her thoughts at the moment. Friend? My daughter made a friend? She and Moondancer seemed to have grown quite close over their shared interest in books, Tutorial confirmed. At that moment, two fillies came strolling out of the building, giggling to each other before the lighter of the two looked up and smiled broadly. Hi, Mommy! She called, picking up the pace and leaving the beige filly to catch up. Pure, did you have fun today? Inquired Ornate as she knelt to meet her daughter. Uh-huh. Mooney and I read a whole bunch of books together and even made up some of our own stories, didn't we, Mooney? Upon being addressed, the little filly blushed and looked away, but she still spoke, if only in a whisper. Uh-huh, she answered before looking up slightly and adding, hello, Pure's mom. Oh, that was just too precious. When Ornate heard a mare's voice call for the little filly, she turned to see who she presumed to be Moondancer's mother. Following behind her daughter's new friend as she ran, Ornate knew she'd just have to set up a play date for their children. The two were just too cute to only spend school together. Plus, she'd be able to take all sorts of adorable photos if they read at her house.